Hey everyone, welcome back. As you can see, we have the 5T out. This is the crawler I bought in Le Sueur this year, and we're going to get it out and get it ready to go to some shows here. So the first thing we ran into loading and playing around when I first picked this up in April was the belt. It's seen better days. So I went to Cat and picked up a new 7B 4032 belt for this crawler. Now the way these work with these tensioners, you have to take these bolts out and it's threaded in here, and this is your tensioner. In order to get the belt past the fan blades, we're going to have to pull either the upper or the lower shroud. I don't think it's going to matter, but there's just not enough clearance to slip it by. Now I'm going to pull the hood as well, and the reason is I'm going to do a service job on this just to get everything kind of back up to par. Lately it seems the pony's kind of been struggling starting, and there's some other stuff that, like the Eisman's not hooked up, or not the Eisman, but the switch for the mag, for the Eisman mag, is not hooked up. Not sure if that's because it's bad, but we'll find out. There are a few other points I would like to address, or throw some new plugs at it. I don't know what the plug wires look like. We'll kind of get into all that later. Tonight's goal is going to be get this old belt out of here. Well, we'll pull the hood off, get the belt off, shroud, see if we can get this new one on and tensioned up. So with this clamp loosened up on the air cleaner and the clamp off from the exhaust pipe, should be able to remove both of these. Those pieces off, we have the bolts on the hood in front here, and then where they meet the dash in the back here. So we'll go ahead and get those taken out. This bolt's here going right in the trash. It's not quite 9/16 anymore. So I did go ahead and remove all of the shroud bolts except for this one. So we'll take this out. I'm hoping I can leave this overflow line in and sneak this out. I did decide to take the entire shroud out because before I put the shroud completely back in, I would like to pressure wash the radiator just so I kind of know when it was done last. Make sure that we don't get to a show when it starts to overheat just for being dirty. So there's the top half. And I'm going to try and sneak that bottom out of there. Watching this line here. Not too dirty on bottom, but still some stuff we can clean out of there. So with this belt already off the crank, we should just be able to fish it over the fan blades here. Try not to scar up the radiator, hurt any of the fins. And there it is. I think it was well past due. We'll get rid of that. Now we need to make sure that when we take these two locking tab bolts out, that we can get this pulley to turn on these threads. So these are just a 1/4 inch bolt. Hopefully they're not too tight. No, actually they aren't tight at all, which is surprising. Maybe this is promising after all. I'm sure a few of you have already noticed there are 2 grease zerks on the water pump. We'll have to grease that. There's one bolt. I don't know if that tab will actually, it should come out of there. Let's try the other one here. Same way, snug but not tight. Maybe that's the way to put these in so they don't freeze up or rust up on you. That's one thing about the older crawlers like the 20s and that. They didn't run a belt at all. Everything was gear drive. It's kind of neat, but I'm sure it was more expensive. No grease or really anything on here. I'll go get something to pick these out of there with, and we'll see if that turns. That's all they are. So it didn't want to turn, so I put a little bit of everybody's favorite lubricant on there. Kind of let that set in for a minute. Keep rotating it around. I think it's just stuck by a little bit of dirt more than anything. They don't look real rusty. And just a little surface rust, but that shouldn't keep it from wanting to turn. Alright, we're in business. See, I don't mind penetrating fluid in the right circumstances. I would say this was one of them. You can see the threads were dry. They had dirt in them. That's where they work well. Now, something that's been rusted together for 80 years, I'm sorry, forget it. It's not going to happen. You'll never penetrate below the bolt head, especially on like something, a bolt like this or this or this. I don't care how long you leave it sit. You're not going to penetrate into there. It's just going to, gravity's just going to take it away. So, to each their own. Like I said, I will use it. This is a perfect example. So, get the new belt out here. Not that it takes much. It's nice to see. Not something you see very often anymore. Seems less and less stuff is made in the States here. Although, I don't know for sure the age of this belt, if they date them like they do other things. Tell this thing sat this way for a long time. It definitely wants to sit in that position there. Whereas if you try to move it that way, it doesn't want anything to do with it. We'll have to change that. We'll have to run this thing for a while. But I'm going to get it fished over the crank. I'm sure you guys know how to do that. Nothing special. And I'll bring you back and we'll tighten this up. Alright, we'll try and work around the camera as best as possible. So this piece here, I'm just going to hold on to it and turn the fan. And we are tightening those 2 pulleys together, or shivs, just like a snowmobile clutch essentially, centrifugal clutch. And that will tighten this belt up. Now what you got to watch for is it can actually pinch the top of this belt. So you need to roll it just to verify that you're not pinching on this belt too tight and making a false reading on how much tension you actually have on the belt. But I think we can keep going a little bit yet. So I have a decent tension. I can still move it. I'll roll it now, just make sure I'm not pinching that, and I'll try it again. So I'm not sure if you guys are able to tell it or not, but we are slowly losing daylight here. On the camera it still looks pretty bright, but out here not so much. So I'm going to keep tightening this down and get it to where I'm happy with it. And then I'm going to throw these tabs back in. And I'm just going to throw just a dab of grease on these, but I will get them a little tighter than they were when they came out. Well guys, I think this is probably going to wrap up the video. As I said, I'm losing daylight here. Surprised the camera actually shows it as bright as it does. But we'll get those snug down there. Belt feels pretty good. Not like overly tight, but not loose yet either. I can turn the engine over with it, so it should be good there. I want to go through and wash the radiator out yet, and then I will run it and just double check this tension, see if we actually loosened up at all, and I can maybe get another quarter turn out of that. There are 4 notches, so it does go in quarters, not in halves, which is nice. But I need to get some grease in these. We need to change oil yet. There will be more videos coming. This is just going to be part 1. We got to go through the pony yet. It's kind of gotten a little hard start issue going on. Sometimes it will start great, other times it does not want to start at all. And then we need to get out and drive this thing. I need to switch fuel tanks, because I don't know if you guys remember here. We'll go back there. It has this welded together tank. I do have a different tank for it, so I do want to switch that out. If we come over to the pony here, you can see the sediment in the bowl. That's all stuff that's gonna have to be cleaned out yet. Maybe we'll end up cleaning the whole tank. We need to go through the carb, I know, because that leaks. Probably pull the mag off and see what we can find in there. Like I said, it's got just a hard starting issue. Sometimes it will fire first pull, other times you can pull on it for, I would say 10-15 minutes repeatedly and it doesn't even pop. So we'll have to see what we can figure out. But thanks everyone for watching, following along. You'll see this one, it shows, so I want to get it ready for it. We'll catch you on the next one.